This is about the temperate deciduous forest, which is a biome probably really familiar to you because you are living in it right now. Because the temperate deciduous forest is located in Ohio, and also located in many other places like the eastern US, almost all of Europe, and Eastern Asia, and also some other places, but those are the three main places. There's many national parks that the deciduous forest is located in, but the one we'll look at for examples in this is the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal, which is a national park located in the US. Now let's move on to the climate. The climate in the temperate deciduous forest is very different over the year. The average rainfall is 30 to 59 inches of rain per year, and the snowfall is also really similar because there's 30 to 60 inches of snowfall per year. And then the average temperature in this biome is very different as well across the year. The average temperature overall is 50 degrees, but in the summer it can range from 75 to 86 degrees, or below freezing in winter. And here's a graph showing the temperature and rainfall of the deciduous forest over the year. Now, let's go talk about some animals. The animals I decided to pick were the deer, fox, and coyote. Let's start with the deer. The scientific name for the deer is cervidae, and its habitat is located in forested areas, and their niche is to serve as prey for larger predators to keep the ecosystem running. The diet of a deer is a herbivore that usually consumes grasses, acorns, and nuts. Deer usually live in groups, and females live in really large groups, which is up to into hundreds. For adaptations that deer use to live, they have eyes on the sides of their heads that help them see in every direction. They have large ears that help them hear anything nearby, and a very hollow body that insulates them. And some fun facts about deer. Deers are colorblind to neon orange, which is why hunters wear orange when hunting deer. And there's trees that have a defense mechanism that can detect deer saliva that makes them bitter to not let deer consume them. Next up, the fox, or the scientific name is Vulpes vulpes. I know, that's a pretty weird name. Their habitat is usually agricultural landscapes, fields, or some forested areas. Their niche is to be a predator to small mammals, insects, and amphibians. And their diet is actually omnivorous, but they mostly eat meat still. They live in pairs of small family groups as well, and their adaptations is to have sharp teeth that helps them eat meat, their fur helps them camouflage, and have excellent senses like eyesight, hearing, and smell. And some facts about the fox. Foxes are useful to farmers because they kill animals that are detrimental to crops, and foxes produce skunk-like odors to mark their territories. Last animal we have is the coyote, and the scientific name is Acanthus lantrans. Their habitat is more open areas, but their niche is to live in packs to protect themselves or in dens to protect their young. Their diet is mostly omnivorous, and they will eat just about anything. Just like the fox, they live in packs with families. And they have an adaptation to adjust their hunting style to whatever is available. They hunt small prey alone by stalking and pouncing, and larger animals are hunted by coyotes being in packs. And some facts about the coyotes. Coyotes sing to communicate with other coyote families and to keep track of their own family. And coyotes can run up to 40 miles per hour when chasing their prey. Now, let's move on to some plants inside of the temperate deciduous forest. The first one we got is the mountain laurel, or the scientific name, the Camellia latifolia. Their habitat is mostly mixed hardwood forests that are mountainous on rich mesic sites. They produce thousands of seed annually, which is pretty useful to people who grow these flowers. And their adaptations are to have a broad range of light regimes depending on how open their area is. And some facts about the mountain laurel. They grow about to 3 to 18 feet in height, and mountain laurels attract native bees and hummingbirds. Next up is a pretty familiar plant probably to you, which is the maple tree, and its scientific name Acer. Not Acer Computer, by the way. And it does really good in any habitat, whether that be sunny or shady, dry or wet soil, and really any elevation that is inside the deciduous forest. And the maple tree produces what you probably guessed, sap that contains the ingredients for maple syrup on your delicious pancakes. And their adaptations is this complex rooting system that is adapted to an extremely efficient way of collecting nutrients. And some facts about the maple tree, they can live up to 200 or even more years. And then the sugar maple tree has the highest amount of sugar inside of its sap compared to any other trees. Last plant we got is the azalea, or its scientific name, the rhododendron. Its habitat is found on the edge of woodlands and rich, well-drained acidic soil, and they produce 1 to 3 flowers per stem. The adaptations of the azalea is the ability to grow in mountainous habitats in acidic soil. They also can regenerate pretty fast, especially after a forest fire. And some facts about the azalea. The plants have a defense mechanism to make them poisonous to consume to any organism, and there's also over 1,000 varieties of azaleas. Now let's look into the national park we were talking about earlier, which is the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal. Inside the park, bats are preying on insects that destroy crops in order to keep the crops alive. And also, the adaptations bats have to allow them to hunt more efficiently is their hearing abilities, and also by learning from other bats to hunt. But on the other hand, insects also have some abilities, like they have wings to fly away, and also are able to camouflage themselves well to avoid bats seeing them. Now let's look at an invasive species inside of the national park. What we have here is the Japanese stiltgrass. Even though by the name it was originated from Japan as well, it also originated from India and Eastern Asia. It was introduced to the US by transporting by humans, and its impacts were good packaging material for porcelain, and also it was able to spread quickly, and it prevented many native species from being able to grow. And within the national park, there's also some human impacts. One of these impacts is climate change, and it's negatively impacting the environment, raising temperatures and sea levels. It's also specifically affecting cultural and natural resources within the park. Its impact to organisms within the area is that it changes growing seasons that affect the vegetation and the animals, such as the deer within the area, that eat them. This effect is overall negative, and they are educating employees how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere, plus identifying strategies to reduce gases and waste. Now some additional info. People travel there because it is known as a pathway for discovering historical, natural, and recreational treasures. And some more facts about the deciduous forest itself. The reason temperate is in the name is because it is located in a place that isn't too hot nor too cold, which is in between the polar and tropical regions of the Earth. Our next fact about it is the temperate deciduous forest goes through 4 different seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. And is actually the only biome with 4 distinct seasons. And the reason deciduous is in the name is because deciduous is a Latin term meaning fall off, which goes along with trees shedding their leaves annually, which a deciduous forest has trees that do this. The leaves have adapted to fall off in the fall since they will be out of nutrients to survive in the winter, so this is basically hibernation for trees. Then their leaves grow back in the spring because they're able to access nutrients again, and the cycle repeats itself starting next fall. And last fact is that the temperate deciduous forest is the biome with the highest population of humans, which is because the deciduous forest is the best biome for converting the land into cities and housing for people. The species in the biome are also very rich, which is beneficial to humans. So that's all about the temperate deciduous forest, and thank you for watching.